Hi again, folks. This one is probably going to be just as controversial as the Sailor Moon one, but I feel this one really needs to be talked about. All the time when a new English dub of an anime is announced, there's always a fair amount of people who stick their nose up at it, because the new cast sounds different from what they're used to, and I think there's a few reasons for this. 1. Any voice that doesn't sound familiar is going to be hard to accept. It happened to me when they recast Bob from Reboot, and I couldn't quite handle it when Capcom recast Claire Redfield for Resident Evil Revelations 2, which I still haven't quite gotten over, but see, it happens to me too, so it's especially relevant. And I'll be very interested to see what happens when Adam West finally dies, which I hope will never happen.
All this singing is contagious. I'll sing too. Adam West, Adam West. A little bit softer now. Adam West, Adam West. Adam West, Adam West. I'll come out when they're all gone.
Seriously, he's the only reason why I still watch Family Guy. 2. They prefer to watch anime in its purest form. While there is nothing wrong with this by itself, I feel that bias can really cloud the opinion of the person holding it simply because it's not their preference. Again, which is fine. Watch the way you prefer. We have Crunchyroll Premium for people like that, so they can just go over there. No, this is not a sponsorship. We're not famous enough for that. Yet. And probably the most often heard reason is when some entitled crybaby throws a tantrum because they can't stand it when their favorite titty anime is being localized to a wider audience. And while most of these points are completely legit reasons, these people need to understand that this sort of thing is completely objective depending on the viewer. For instance, when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, I can understand why someone would prefer Ryu Horikawa over Christopher Sabat. And I can also understand why someone would prefer Toshio Furukawa over, again, Christopher Sabat. But I will never, for the life of me, understand why so many people prefer the chipmunk-sounding portrayal from Masako Nozawa over Sean Schemmel's cool yet innocent reflection in his portrayal of the same character. I mean, different strokes for different folks, I know, but could someone please explain that to me? I just don't get it. Anyway, back on topic. The general consensus is that a majority of these people believe that for the English dub to be good enough in their eyes, they need the cast to sound exactly like, if not close to the Japanese voices to be acceptable. In my opinion, not only is that a very selfish demand to make, you're not considering the cultural barriers that's gonna set up when Goku sounds like he's been huffing helium out of a balloon. Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. First, let's talk about a casting decision that would work really well with this thought process in mind. Okay, so you're in charge of casting for an English dub of an anime known for exploiting really cute characters like Lucky Star, K-On!, or any other moe stuff of that nature. You would expect their voices to sound really cute, to reflect the cuteness of that character, in both versions, so trying to aim as close as the Japanese version would be a no-brainer, right? So that would be an ideal situation. Now let's suppose you were in charge of the casting for something else, like, let's say Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. Now assuming you're not working for 4Kids, how would you go about these casting choices? Would you try to stick to the Japanese as close as possible to appease its rabid fanbase after being scorned once already? If you did, that would mean you'd have to cast a female for an obvious male character, Ryo Bakura, where he clearly had a female voice in both good and evil forms.
I am now, thanks to you.
Where did you get your Millennium Ring?
My father picked it up on one of his trips. He told me it's from ancient Egypt. I think that's where they're all from.
ありがとう。
その千年リングは？
僕の父さんは考古学者で世界中よく旅に出かけるんだけど、エジプトに行った時。
If you cast a female in that role in English, you're gonna get some cultural backlash. Sure, when he's in his good form, he looks female enough, but we know he isn't, and 4Kids actually took the right route, giving him a lighter male voice. And whether they did evil Bakura justice is, well, I'll leave that up to you. But the point is that logic doesn't work with every character due to the aforementioned cultural barriers. It doesn't even have to be something as exaggerated as the examples I've given you. It can even be something as minor as Lucy from Fairy Tail. In Japan, she has the same kind of high-pitched voice you would expect to hear from a teenage girl in Japan. But Funimation gave her a voice you would expect to hear from an American teenager.
Hold on! Did I miss something? Where'd the wrestler come from? Don't tell me this guy's one of the seven kin.
なんなの？誰よあんた？まさか七眷属？
And that makes a big difference on the audience's impression of a character in terms of how they relate to them. Obviously, this does not apply to everyone, but for people who don't mind or prefer watching anime in their own language, or hell, any form of media, you'd think that would be kind of essential. Just imagine if Homer Simpson in English sounded like his Spanish counterpart.
Springfield, aquí tenéis los de Sevilleville para que lo vencéis. Soy invencible.
Another good example with localization done right is with the Danganronpa series on the PlayStation Vita and more recently on Steam. Psst, by the way, you should totally buy these games because they're all fucking amazing. Yes. Well, the English casting for these games is, in my opinion, perfect. Well, except for one character in particular, but I think I might save that for another video. They sound exactly the way you think they would, and none of them sound unnatural to listen to. Some may disagree, but perhaps they can see why I hold this opinion, and for spoiler reasons, I will not get into the details of the game's story or even its characters, since you're far better off going into the game blind, but play it and you'll see one of the best examples of a great English cast that sound almost nothing like the Japanese cast. And the acting is really good. So I recommend you check it out and compare the two. Oh, a little disclaimer though, don't let the anime be your first exposure to the game series because the anime is just a really rushed version of the first game and it's really not a good way to get introduced to it. Hell, the English version doesn't even have the same English cast because of, I don't know, licensing reasons or some shit. So yeah, get the game on Steam if you don't have a Vita and let that be your gateway drug. Okay, I am expecting a ton of hate mail after this, but oh well, I wouldn't be a cynic if I didn't. Anyway, do you disagree? As usual, hash it out in the comments below, and again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider checking out Voice Actor Magazine. There you can watch my videos a week early, as well as check out other neat articles related to voice acting and the industry, and other miscellaneous things here and there. Ciao guys!
They're digging up the graves in old tombstone.